as well as discussing competitive Call of Duty in World War II in general. So during today's live stream, they played Capture the Flag on the Ardennes Forest, Hardpoint on Gibraltar, Capture the Flag on Flak Tower, which you guys are watching in the background, Hardpoint on Ardennes Forest, and then Hardpoint once again on Point to Hawk. If there's one thing that I learned about Call of Duty World War II's map design from this live stream, it's that there is going to be high ground, there are going to be power positions, anchoring is going to be a very big deal, and controlling spawns is once again going to be a very big deal. This is sort of similar to what we've seen in older Call of Duty games, such as Call of Duty 4, and I'm very happy about that. One of the things that I really don't like about a lot of the newer Call of Duty games is how the spawns kind of flip very easily, how your map control doesn't really matter all that much because everything is so chaotic and random. Everything in World War II seemed to be a bit more controlled, and I'm definitely a pretty big fan of that. Now, in this live stream, they talked about competitive mode quite a bit, right? But they didn't really reveal a ton of new news and information, but we did get to see a couple of things, such as the hammer cam that you guys are seeing right now. I actually really do enjoy this feature because it's cool to see Call of Duty from that top-down perspective, and if you're watching competitive Call of Duty, which I think there's a lot of things they could do to make it more accessible for people and easier to watch, it's actually kind of nice to see a top-down view of the battlefield and get a complete understanding of what's happening and unfolding in front of you. Not to mention, it's really great to see all of the maps from this top-down perspective as well, because their attention to detail is wonderful. If you guys don't know, in most Call of Duty games, they use a lot of smoke and mirrors to give off the illusion that there are things happening outside of the maps, but in reality, there's really nothing out there. Here in World War II, thanks to this top-down mode, even the outsides of the maps are completely detailed and beautiful, which is a very small detail, but I definitely appreciate it. Now, they did mention in competitive Call of Duty, we are going to have some minor rule changes that are going to make the game more competitive at times. The example that was given was in Capture the Flag. If the losing team has the flag and time expires, then they have an extra 60 seconds of extra time to try and capture that flag. If the flag is reset, then the game is just basically going to instantly end. The best way I can actually describe this would be the overtime mode that we see in Overwatch. If you're familiar with that, then you're going to be pretty familiar with the change that they're actually making to capture the flag. So I'm pretty happy about that in general. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that the competitive mode in World War II does something to incentivize people to want to try out the competitive mode itself, because if there's one thing I've learned about the Call of Duty player base is if they don't have an incentive to leave their comfort zone, they are never going to leave their comfort zone. Now, while competitive Call of Duty is growing, it's definitely not as big as it probably should be given how popular the Call of Duty franchise is as a whole. So I'm hoping that in World War II, they do something to make fans want to actually try it out. Whether that's, and I keep going back to the Overwatch example, but in Overwatch, just by playing the competitive mode itself, you get these things called competitive points, which you can use to get golden weapons. Gold weapons take a very long time to earn. It's kind of like this thing that gets people to try out the competitive mode. We need something like that in World War II to get people to actually try it, because I do feel as though this could be a very good year for competitive Call of Duty, but if it doesn't have the backing of the player base, it's going to be like pretty much every other year. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. Now, to end off the video here, guys, I would like to cover a little bit of news regarding the beta itself, which is going to be starting in just 2 days for the PlayStation 4. Codes apparently are going to be emailed out pretty soon. So Optic Crim6 on Twitter put out the question of, does anybody know what maps are actually going to be in the beta? And Sledgehammer Games responded, the maps are going to be Point to Hawk, Ardennes Forest, Gibraltar, Operation Breakout, which of course is for war, and the game modes are going to be Team Deathmatch, Domination, Hardpoint, and War. We knew pretty much all of this already, but there's going to be an extra map and an extra mode as indicated by this tweet right here, which has a lot of people wondering, what is this extra map going to be and what is the extra mode going to be? Now, it seems kind of obvious, but they did show us Flak today for the first time ever, and we also got to see Capture the Flag once again for the first time ever. So it kind of seems like those are going to be the new map and the new game mode respectively for the World War II beta, but we're going to have to see. There's definitely some possibility for some other things, such as Search and Destroy. There has been a lot of discussion today about Search and Destroy, because Sledgehammer keeps hammering home that Capture the Flag is a fan favorite, that Hardpoint is a fan favorite, but if you want to really get right down to it, the fan favorite modes in Call of Duty are Team Deathmatch, Search and Destroy, and Domination. Those are the 3 most populated game modes in every single Call of Duty game dating back to the beginning of time, and to say anything else is more popular or a quote-unquote fan favorite is a bit disingenuous. Why do they always ignore Search and Destroy when it comes to these betas or these pre-release games? Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. It seems like the Call of Duty franchise doesn't like Search. Remember back in Ghost where they actually removed Search because they wanted to make make sure we actually gave Search and Rescue a try. Search is a wildly popular game mode, and if you're talking about competitive Call of Duty, which was basically the entire focus of today's live stream, Search and Destroy is like one of the most popular competitive game modes out there, yet they never talk about it, they never really seem to support it. There are games that have score streaks where Search just doesn't work really whatsoever. I have to wonder, why do they not support this game mode even more? I'm really hoping that Search is going to be part of the beta. That would be a lot of fun, in my opinion, to play Search on the beta maps, get a feel for what it's going to be like, give fan feedback on the spawns or the routes or the bomb locations. Like, that could make Search an even better game if they actually include it in the beta. We're going to have to see, but chances are they're not going to include it because they would likely have already advertised that's going to be in the